Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. There's no need to apologize. I know what I did to Echo last game in my predictions, but I think it's time to go into the draft and let's see the conditions of both sides here. I'm expecting Burnex Flash to look real crisp. Echo, we'll see once we get into game.
All right, this is going to be very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls and lady. Burnex Flash. Good call from the Khmer caster. Burnex Flash is the first pick, Echo second, and instantly, right now we can see the Yuzong getting banned out, as well as the Kaja for Burnex Flash, Glue, as well as 1-1 for Echo.
Yep, it's one of those situations where the EXP is highly focused around, and I mean, they've kind of set it up for Joy even.
You're right. And I have got to say, like, this Joy is going to be a contested pick because I feel ATF performs best on the Joy, but unfortunately, like you mentioned, the Joy is going to be banned here by Burnex Flash themselves, but Echo respond with an Arlet. So, Novaria, Valentina, these are some of the picks that have been opened up.
All right, right now, I kind of feel like at this point, we've seen quite a lot coming in from the Novaria. I wonder, after Burnex Flash going up against Blacklist, where Oh My Venus using the Novaria into the roamer position, I wonder if they will do something similar. Abstract, what do you think? Is it even possible for Burnex Flash?
I mean, I think it's possible, but they had a lot of... I thought that they had a lot of success with Fredrin. I thought that that's what they want to go for.
I mean, like, here's the thing. It's always bad. Gideon, he finally got the Lancelot, and now Echo, they're responding with Fredrin, which we gotta highlight. Against ONIC, he did not let Kyrie win a retry battle.
Exactly, and I think it's one of those situations where is Burnex Flash going to be playing a teamfight composition focused around neutral objectives, or are they going to do the ONIC where it's all about fighting, all about getting those kills, all about that big setup? So I'm looking for potential roamer options for the side of Burnex Flash, and we know what the pattern is, right? Make sure that Chima is going to get a hero that he's most comfortable with, and then we cut back over to Echo's side, Valentina, just to keep themselves flexible.
Okay, can I say that Sanji is just disgusting?
With the Valentina, not as a person.
Yeah, not as a person. Sorry, I need to sorry.
No,
that can be taken out of context.
Exactly.
I mean, his Valentina was so good, phenomenal with the choice of IMUs. Always knows which ultimate to utilize, and with that in mind, right, Burnex Flash, honestly, they need to think about this. The next few picks, hopefully they don't go for heroes that are very ultimate reliant, because that's just going to be used against them, but they pick something up like the Novaria.
Ultimate reliant.
Yeah.
You know what?
You need more ultimates in that.
I like the way you think. It's amazing. And now I'm actually looking at the composition. Actually, no, I'm looking at the roamers. The Franco, both D7 as well as Yaoi, has been amazing on the Franco. I'm just wondering, will the Franco be prioritized? And if it's not being picked up here by Echo, will it be eventually banned?
I think maybe it's eventually going to get banned in the second phase, but that's going to be a big tell, right? I think at least for Echo, they can start playing around a little bit, and now locking in that Grok, we still don't have, pretty much have no idea whether or not it's going to go into the EXP, whether they decide to kind of, you know, I don't know, Call It Easy switches things up and brings it into the jungle, but let's sniff it out here as Franco gets banned out in the second phase.
At this point in time, I just want to say that Burnex Flash's composition, the first 3 pick, I absolutely love it. With the Novaria being picked out, he does have the lane priority over the Valentina, unlocking this Novaria in the early stages of the game. So even if they do pick this Beatrix pretty early into the game, they should be able to get quite a lot of emphasis to allow this Beatrix to move on to the next stage, even if Echo does win in a 1v1 matchup.
And on top of that, right, they're going to go for the Wombo combo here that we see find a lot of success. The snipes coming in from the Beatrix with the Novaria's ultimate and her, what is it called, Astrosphere, just does so much damage, and in the late game, it's going to be very hard for Echo to go for, I would say, a setup if they don't realize the damage that they can output.
You know what? It's the shooting star. It's the shooting rifle. It's the astral gun. I'm going with until I find some kind of combo name that's pretty cool.
Well, we'll eventually get to it. We'll
Snipe.
eventually get to it. Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, right, Echo can also recognize that this snipe is really painful. So how else are they going to manage it? It's not with the range, it's the fact that they have control over the map. And they're only going to be able to achieve that through CC. So banning out that Diggy is already one step forward, while Burnex Flash is going to be looking at specifically Benny QT, who has shown that when it starts to get really long and dragged out, he's going to be changing changing the way that he plays. Instead of rolling backwards, he's rolling forwards. He's trying to think one step ahead of their opponent, and they can still set up for a potential Minotaur.
Right now we gotta look at this. Sanford's Yuzong is now banned 4 times this day. Just this day. Is this a repeat of banning Diablo? And now Harif has been picked up to go up against this Matrix. I don't know. What do you guys feel about it? I kind of want to go with Eterna. What do you feel about it?
Sorry, I don't think that the Grok is a roamer.
Ooh.
I don't know, right? Because we saw Yaoi pick up the Grok. I think we were talking about it behind the scenes as well, right? It wasn't really as effective as we see Yaoi on the other heroes, and I think that Burnex Flash may pick this up. I think they want to force it onto Yaoi, looking at the Kufra Ben.
Right now, Sanford's real name is Sanford.
Thanks.
I mean, honestly,
Damn, I didn't know that.
honestly, that fun fact is kind of useful because I think people would assume it's just an IGN.
Exactly.
But
That's
now,
what I thought.
But now, Abstract now, finishing the draft. I'm looking at Burnex Flash. They don't have any lockdown. They got a Lapu.
That's something.
Oh!
But what does this mean? Mincetar versus a potential Grok.
Mincetar into the potential Grok. Remember, Grok only has anti-CC if he's using his power of nature and he's next to a wall. It's really important that he's near that wall to make sure that he gets the full benefit of his power of nature. So against Mincetar, right, you can lock down that Harith. It's really difficult for Fredrin to actually get his combo point because he needs to be able to dash and get the initial reset to stick on top of his targets. Same goes for Valentina. Everybody, let's not forget the wild charge. So every single one of the abilities from the side of Echo has some form of a dash.
And now, Yaoi.
There you go. I said it.
You said it. You
called it.
I called it.
Are you excited?
Yes.
All right, since you're excited, I'm going to ask you, looking at draft, what are you feeling right now? You're feeling Echo, you're feeling Burnex Flash?
Honestly, the Mincetar pick for Burnex Flash, right? It puts Echo in a very tough spot. I think there's a smaller window of opportunity for Echo to go about these team fights, but audience prediction here.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
What?
The top is going for Burnex Flash, including the Philippines?
Nah,
Get it,
nah.
like,
They're trying to recover from the wounds that they just
gotta be a
witnessed
mistake,
earlier.
right?
I mean, I have to agree with you. I would expect that the countrymen stay with their own countrymen.
And now,
Maybe they're using the curse.
Curse.
Right?
you know what? They learn from
Yes.
the best. We're the best.
We are the
We
best.
Speaking of the best, we're gonna see throughout this game, it is going to be a best of 5. Who will win this one? We're going into the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your seatbelts on because we're in for a ride into the land of dawn for game number 1 between Burn X Flash and Echo Philippines.
They're going to be starting things off very, very default. We're not seeing a fast force start coming in for Burn X Flash, and even for the side of Echo, they just want to play a standard game for now. Hit those level 4s, look for a neutral fight, and immediately start looking for plays. But keep in mind, D7, at this stage of the game, he's still very susceptible. He has no real means of escaping once he gets caught, so he has to play a very safe game, especially if he does have his abilities up.
It brings me back to the question, right? Mincetar into the composition that ONIC have, sorry, not ONIC, Echo have brought, right? Sanji, Benny, Yaoi, how is that gonna fare for them in the long run?
Well, in the long run, terribly, in a matter of fact. So it's about timings of fights, right? It's about when that King's Calling is available and how exactly is Echo able to bait that out. Because remember, if we're talking about pickoff or engagement tools, Echo has a little bit of both, right? They've got Samford, who can initiate the fight to maybe get the King's Calling. They got Yaoi to kick somebody out of position to maybe get the King's Calling, and then it's about to push and pull.
D7 trying to get himself away, immediately terrified, but Echo just wanted to poke D7.
Very interesting here. Okay, so a little bit of aggression happening on the board right now. But, you know, Chima, wow, he's actually getting chunked really low by Karltizi. In the, you know, turtle acquisitions, how is that going to go?
Right? That's where it gets really good for Burn X Flash because it's a timing that Echo can't really play around. So you'll see how Echo kind of positions around it, right? Keep in mind that Echo's the one that doesn't want to make that first move, but when it comes to neutrals, they kind of don't have that choice. And Burn X Flash are going to have to try and hold them hostage for as long as possible. As long as they've got the King's Calling, it's going to be tough. So look, Sanford, he's walking right up to their faces, and Sanji is making sure Tri-Brush is going to be a safe angle.
And D7 immediately just get kicked by the hands of the Yawi. ATM is the one that actually manages to take the turtle off for himself. But Tamar, even though he was trying to get himself in, he still managed to dash himself right out, leaving ATM all alone. But somehow, Burnex Flash didn't lose more than one person, and they got a turtle.
Okay, so a little bit of an advantage here for Burnex Flash. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, I would like to believe that, but let's also keep in mind that Valentina can do the exact same thing that D7 wants to do, right? It's whoever finds that big engage first who won't be able to drop it.
And of course, Way of the Dragon connects down to D7. This is yet another time where D7 gets constantly targeted.
It's all about his ult. It's literally all about his ult. That's what this entire game is about, right? You're gambiting upon your opponent. You're trying to steal his ultimate because it really hurts both sides of the composition.
It seems it's a lot about disengage from the side of Burnex Flash when it comes down to D7.
I mean, ideally, they don't want to be just disengaging, right? You need to be able to get some kind of value or profit. The only issue is that there's only one of D7, and not everybody is able to, quote-unquote, find that pick. So that's when you start adding ATM into this mix. And hopefully, by the time he's unlocked from his lane, he's actually capable and strong enough to start threatening that back line.
I actually find this quite interesting, right? Both of the mages opted for the discount emblem. And sometimes we see a little bit of a mix for Novaria, right? Sometimes Impure Rage, sometimes Magic Worship. But here, Mystery Shop against the Valentina. Oh!
Nice catch. However, it doesn't seem like they managed to lock Sanji down for even longer and had to use the King's Calling.
Pre-buffering. That's really great coming in from Sanji's side. He didn't want to use his ability, so using that flicker is just a very safe method to do so. And not to mention that the fact that he's already used the IMU, so no point going further than that. Other than the fact that we need to keep in mind, again, D7 he's got his flickers back up, and I think, you know, Burnex Flash, they're going to be setting up for this neutral fight. So get ready for it. Look at the positioning from Echo.
Doesn't seem like the rest of the members from the side of Burnex Flash will be able to stop Yawi from pushing right in, as that is going to be yet again another kick from Yawi. This guy, this man, is never, ever going to stop.
Yeah, that's the thing about Echo, right? They are so quick on the objectives. We saw that in their previous series as well. And when it comes down to it, they really know just how to make things uncomfortable for their enemy. Yawi always positioning really well in the push. You know, positioning is so key, right? Pushes are so key. Vision is so key. Burnex Flash actually has CCAT. So with CCAT, shouldn't they have a little bit more to play around with? Try to, you know, shut down Yawi with a surprise Way of the Dragons.
I don't think it's surprise that they're worried about, right? They can scout him out, of course, but do they really threaten Yawi just yet? You only have damage. You don't have a necessary means to lock him down, and that's the big problem, right? D7 is going to try and be that guy, but he doesn't want to waste too many of his resources. The most he can do, the most he can commit for is the Spear of Glory, but anything more than that, that's far too many resources.
With 4 men all the way down south, they would want to target this first tier defense turret as much as possible without losing a single person. Burnex Flash moved forward and advances and manages to clear the wave, at least for now.
All right, and that's a 1,000 gold lead already being attained by Echo. It seems like they're putting a little bit of focus here on to Donut, trying to shut him down from the first few minutes of the game, but you know, they haven't been able to catch him.
Very patient on their buttons. Oh!
Way of the Dragon connecting on the D7 once again. King's Calling blocked down, but it doesn't seem like Yawi is affected by that at all. They still manages to collapse down on the D7. Third death already. In the meantime, we're just going to be chilling right up in the top lane where Shamar finds himself on the edge against the Grok. Yawi escapes himself away from ATM while we are still continuing to look at Donut taken down. And this is all spiraling out of control for Burnex Flash.
Look at the mid lane. It's already getting shoved on top side. We're already getting a huge shove as all places have had a successful trade. Now they continue to push even further in the mid lane.
Are they gonna go for it? Okay, they're not. Okay. Oh, almost landed that. But yeah, coming back to what we're seeing right now, right? Like you mentioned here, the disparity of even the levels are very apparent here. Chima actually just reached that level 9. Kaltizi already at level 9. Even Benny QT is quite far ahead of Donut, with Herod being an APC hero going against Donut. Who gets that power spike first?
Initially, it's going to be Benny QT for sure, right? He's got that discount, he's got the bargain, he's got 3 kills under his belt in comparison to Donut, who needs a couple of items to really maximize his emblem, right? Weapon Master, it does take some time. It's not immediate impact, but let's see. Kaltizi looking for an opportunity to really start forcing things out for Burnix Flash.
But CallTZ, it doesn't seem like he's phased at all, despite facing D7, Donut, ADM, and CCAS is just right around the corner.
Yeah, unfazed, unbothered is just really the gimmick that CallTZ has brought to MSC, going for these kinds of picks. It's worked out, and they have gotten a lot of objectives because of that.
Do you guys see that? Oh, hold on a second, never mind. As Yawi immediately jumped himself right into Shamar, tries to bring him down, but Shamar is the one that managed to take a kill down onto Yawi instead. As the fight prolongs, CallTZ holds himself in the front. He wants to go for the taunt, but Donut takes the kill away. The Summon Force lays down, and Cutie takes the kill onto Donut, moves on to the next, gets himself a double, and this is how they're going to disengage by having a 2-for-2 trade.
Yeah, 2-for-2 trade, extremely key in that particular team fight was the fact that the Holy Crystal was built in, giving him a little bit of more damage for Cutie to rush the members of Burnix Flash.
No, that's a perfect way of putting it, because again, that's why you're wondering, why is he holding, if he already has it, why is he holding back here super far away? He's waiting for the King's Call, and notice Cutie goes around. CallTZ tells the rest of his team, yo, I'm gonna die, we need to find a trade somehow, and that's immediately when you see Cutie drop that Salmon Force, and look how fluid his movement is, right? Finds the Synchro Fissure, gets that full initial burst when you're right in the middle of it, on towards Donut's side, and then transfers the kill over down into the mid lane against the Minsitars. So every single time we get into these fights, it's about that push and pull consistently before and after the King's Calling.
But ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing a technical pause. Remember, we want the best for you guys at home watching. You want the best experience. We also want the best experience for the players as well. But yes, it seems like Abstract had a point here.
Now, remember how I wanted to say something right before the team fight?
Yeah, what was that?
The main thing is that one thing that I wanted to say was the Fredrin. I'm not too sure whether he did it on purpose. He immediately dashed into the trajectory of the Astrosphere. The Astrosphere could have clipped onto Valentina, and in the very event that Valentina got clipped before that fight, I think that, you know, that fight wouldn't have went to Echo.
It probably wouldn't have, what's the word I'm looking here? It probably wouldn't have mattered in the long run, because that would mean that the entire team just moves back together. The fact that he still has the health, it does give Echo a little bit more confidence to say, yeah, I can take maybe 1 or 2 auto attacks, but more than that, it's still going to be too much for me if Beatrix is right up in my face. So at the end of the day, right, it's all about that push and pull. How do you push and how do you actually end up pulling away from your opponents? Unfortunately for Burnix Flash, the pulling part is the most difficult, because there's no real way to do that comfortably other than using the King's Calling, which kind of falls into the category of your most high priority ultimate. When it's that valuable, do you really just want to use it to pull away? You feel like you need to get a trade.
I mean, technically you have the Lapu Lapu, right? I mean, that's something that you could utilize potentially in these team fights, but I like how you mentioned that, because so far we haven't seen these CC heavy heroes being able to just stop the movements coming in from QT. He's been having a really good time. I mean, look at that 5-0-0 already here. That's a lot of gold for him.
Yeah, nobody's catching him. And I like the fact that you brought up ATM, because yes, he's supposed to change that fact, but credits to Samford. He's clearing out the waves faster. He's literally living up to the moniker of Grok. He is being an unmovable object, and ATM, it's kind of frustrating for him, right? He's not really trading against him. He's not allowing him to move first, and that's how Samford is maintaining his lead.
And now, of course, Yawi finds himself low in HP. It still went down. D7 flickers into the King's Calling. He was hoping that he'll be able to clip a little bit onto the Lord, but Shamar focuses onto the Lord, takes the Lord away from the hands of Echo. The rest of Burnix Flash immediately falls backwards after getting what they wanted.
Oh man, okay, so they win the team fight, but unfortunately they had to lose the Lord. But it looks like CallTZ, Cutie once more!
Donut immediately taken down. Sanji proxies the lane and went straight in front for CCAT, pushing him away even more.
Yeah, they're not going to keep on doing this, right? Okay, the Lord is going to spawn, and at least for Burnix Flash, that means that Echo isn't going to just try and end the game right on the dot. And wait, Benny!
Oh, Benny is not going to be stopping anytime soon. The Zaman Force dropped right down. He's going 1v3. The first person already taken down, but here comes Yawi with the Way of the Dragon, just going to be connecting down on the ATM, completely terrified, flickers himself out of the way. And of course, even the King's Calling came in clutch.
Beautiful stuff coming out from Benny QT. He knows for a fact that D7 can't completely commit onto him, especially when he doesn't have that follow-up damage. And as soon as Benny spots the person who is going to be that follow-up damage, that's when he starts repositioning and calls in for Yaoi.
Wait. Burnx Flash, no dominance?
Oh, you're right. I don't see a dominance just yet. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue. Not being able to kind of deal with the healing, not being able to deal with the shielding at the same time. That's coming out from Benny QT. But to be fair, is that really going to matter when he's already 2K ahead? The fact that he's got like an extra 2 items on his opponents, like, I don't need the shield, I just need to kill you.
True, but I don't know. I guess that's a step in the right direction, no? I mean, zero respect for Benny. 8-0-1 already here. 4,000 gold lead, and Echo, oh my god, again!
Wait, the dragon again! Onto D7. However, the rest of the members from the Echo is just a little bit too late for the follow-up.
You know, looking at that play, right? Is it wise actually for Yaoi to go for the Way of Dragon on D7?
Yes, it absolutely is. And think of it this way, right? You're kicking him not into the middle of your team, you're kicking him at an off angle, hoping that D7 utilizes that ult so the rest of your team can disengage. Keep in mind, Sanford can wild charge outside of the King's Calling and still get the knockup as he's passing through the entire King's Calling area of effect. In that moments, right? We're hoping for choke points. That's what we're looking for. Burnx Flash need to bait Echo into a point where they can't seem to fall back. And there's only 2 places you can do it. Number 1, the Lord or Turtle Pit, or number 2, these POIs on the map, which is going to be the buffs.
Okay, and oh man, like even with that, I think Burnx Flash recognized it. You don't see that they are looking for a contest. 11 minutes, 12 minutes in, Abstract. How are we feeling about this game?
It's definitely grim for Burnx Flash, right? And I'm trying to really wrap my head around as to what they can really do. The main thing that I want to see is probably give some more time to Donut, because when it comes down to the goal disparity, Donut to Benny QT, that's gonna be huge. And the only way that they can probably get the game going is when C-Cat skills, Donut skills, because this team is kind of expensive.
Yeah, you're right? And that's interesting because Donut just picked up the Malefic Lore. Is that going to be detrimental to this Lord take?
Absolutely, but I mean, they've got the information. Tech pause once again. Unlucky, but it gives us time to talk about it, right? At the end of the day, the Malefic Roar is going to be extremely useful, and especially for any marksman, it's just the go-to item to make sure that when you get an auto attack and it lands, it's going to hurt.
I mean, we have seen a lot of times throughout the entirety of MSC 2023 where a Bennett's Rage eventually helps to take down the Lord or helps them to combo into taking down the Lord. And unfortunately, I don't think that Echo has got anything within sort of that capacity to immediately burst the Lord down and kind of time the Retribution together. So
I mean, they've got Sanford. He's on the Grok, and that has high base damages. Number 2, they also got the Zaman Force, so if he wants to just time the Chrono Fissure, that works too.
Okay, with that being said, right, it didn't seem, before we went into the technical pause, that Burnx Flash wanted to contest for the Lord. They were in the bottom side. What were they doing there?
They know that they can't necessarily win out these fights. They know that they're behind, and they recognize that, right? Because again, they're just going to play for high ground defense. They've got a Beatrix, so why not abuse the fact that the Beatrix has 2 ults that are really, really particularly good at clearing out waves.
So in conclusion, they want to manipulate that bottom lane and then go to the Lord, or are they just going for a completely different target here?
I think they're going for a completely different target. Now here's one thing that I will say. For all intents and purposes, Shima might still try to go in 1v5 maybe to steal this away. There is a possibility. I won't take that away from him. He's already done it once. I wouldn't be too surprised if he does it again. But in trade, right, I give you the second Lord of the game. I might be able to get a tier 1 down on the bottom side, and then we start playing high ground right from our base until we start coming back to playing an even playing field, which I would say would happen around 14th, 16th minute.
Short pause on our discussion here. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching at home, you guys can redeem this code because we love y'all, you know, we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in for this match right now here between Burnx Flash and Echo. You guys can, you know, tap your ROG phone just a little bit there, go for the code, get it before LaFell gets his hands on it, because I promise you he's very quick with his fingers. But coming back into that discussion here, Lord fight. We mentioned that Burnx Flash are in a little bit of a tough spot because of how many resources that Echo has in their arsenal. So, Abstract, do you think that they should look for a pickoff instead? Do you think that they should go for a backdoor maybe against Echo?
Honestly, right now, I don't think that they're capable of doing all of that yet. So I do like the idea of Shamar just going in and just play whatever that he can to really weave himself in and out at the same time. But at least they managed to, find some counter value by bringing down the first tier defense turret in the bottom lane. At least it gives them some more gold to work with.
Well, let's see how much gold is going to be necessary, right? I mean, we're coming to a point where Echo is going to hit 42k faster than Burnix Flash. But once Burnix Flash hits 42k of their own, the game starts to even out amongst the marksmans, right? Both gold lane players, and especially if we're talking about Benny QT, he's in a comfortable spot. I think he's already got full build. He's 8 kills into this game, power farming, level 15 at the same time. But if we come back over to Donut, he's 2 levels away from max level, and I'm sure he's 3 items off from actually being at his full build. With that in mind, we need to make sure that we understand the fact that Shima needs to be the one that baits out the big spells from the side of Echo. I'm hoping that he's gone for full tank and switched out some of his items.
As the Lord now raises his trident, crashes down onto the middle lane first tier defense turret, the top lane is pushing in as well, while Kyle TZ is hoping that he will be able to bring down the second tier defense turret in the bottom lane as well. And that will effectively wipe out all the outer turrets, allowing Echo to have quite a bit of a push lane down the middle line, which Echo would probably make full use of. Oh, Yowie! With the flicker in and the kick right down onto ATM. He's gonna be the first person to be taken down while D7 continues to move on forward with the King's Calling. That is going to be 1 death from the side of Burnix Flash while Yowie sacrifices himself for the greater good.
Very aggressive play by Yowie earlier. It does get a trade onto ATM, and this brings me to the point that I really wanted to bring up earlier. Burnix Flash has such an amazing amount of high ground, so when it comes down to the defense, it's going to be a little bit more tricky for Echo, who direly needs to end this as soon as possible.
I mean, I don't know whether they want to end it as soon as possible. They already played a 39-minute game. Maybe they want to make it into a 40-minute game. Look, they've scrimmed more. Probably they've had longer scrims than professional games. I'm going to be really honest here. But 5 to 12 so far, obviously it's not looking good. But as I mentioned, 14 to 16 minutes is when you're going to see Burnix Flash actually start evening out that score. If we're looking at Novaria, she's got more than enough items. And I like the fact that she did... Oh, hold on.
Oh, and of course, the Diamond Force drops down. D7 even had the King's Calling. There's so many knockdown going on, but it doesn't seem like it will bother Echo at all as they marches right on in. They find D7. He still have immortality, but what can the immortality really do for them? They focus us down onto every single one of these creeps, but where are all the creeps in the top lane? It is still left with a sliver of health on the turret.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that Lancelot needed to bait resources. He did, but he died in the process, so this is looking very grim.
Yowie kicks ATM back to his fellow teammates, but perhaps this is what we want to see. The Astro Echo connects down onto Echo, but that immediately pushes Echo away because they just don't want to deal with this.
Here's the thing, right? Yes, Tremont needs to bait out resources, but they can't be working in pairs. 2v5 is still not good odds for him at the end of the day, and they have to recognize that not everybody's at max build. 7.6k deficit for them as of right now, and if this game drags on for another 2 minutes, the gold lead isn't really going to matter at the end of the day, which is when Burnix Flash probably want to burn out these resources or buy this Lord Pit. That's what I was waiting for, not buy the purple side, and I think even for Chima, he probably just wanted to have his purple buff more than anything else.
I mean, you know, being an assassin against someone like Echo, it's not an easy feat to do because you know that you are going to be bullied for that purple buff, especially when you don't have the map control, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. It's just, oh, wait, what?
Yowie connects down onto Donut. What were you doing there, Donut?
Oh no, not Donut. This is right before the Lord. Do they even need the Lord? Okay, they're going for the Lord. They're going for the safe pick. But that's not looking good. 30 seconds left. The Lord is going to spawn. What can Burnix Flash do?
Honestly, nothing at this point. Donut was their only way to kind of like bounce back and try to turn the tables because he's got enough damage, and also the highest DPS amongst his team members.
Nice hook coming in from D7. It made and forces Sanji to go for the flicker, but Yowie immediately broke through the defenses and kicked ATM out of it all. Wasn't even able to use the Mightiest Warriors. D7 knocked down onto the King's Calling. It forces the rest of the members from the side of Echo away. Shamar is still in the midst of it all, Carl TZ's HP doesn't look very good. But in the end of the day, Burnex Flash still managed to defend this until I don't know, because D7 still wanted to re-engage. He went for the hook. Shaman went straight in again. He wants to get a kill on Yaoi, but it doesn't seem like they will be able to successfully do so. At the middle lane, Lord, he's just gonna be slamming right down with the Trident. The rest of Echo follows through. Only left with Seacat as well. Donut. Seacat is gonna be taken down so well, D7, and that will be the first game taken in by Echo.
Wow, all right. Echo really bringing their A game here in this best of 5. They're going to be leading the series, and that puts Echo fans all around the globe in a little bit of a more comfortable decision. But how did that actually end up that way?
Well, a lot of it just comes down to Yaoi, man. He's getting some really good kicks, and you notice that push and pull. You notice where the eyes of the player of Burnex Flash are focusing on. Samford purposely posturing as if he wants to like flicker wild charge in, but by the time they react to it, guess who shows up? Yaoi from halfway across the world, timing his Shunpo and third hit of Jikundo to get that knockup when he flickers right into the middle of the fight.
Yeah, and he's like, hello!
It's a me! Yeah!
It's me, Yaoi!
Yaoi! He's dangerous. He's really dangerous on this show, and it's hard to be able to keep track of so many things at once, especially if you're in D7's position. Ideally, they would have the Diggy here, but we saw from the draft itself, this is where Echo is most comfortable. No anti-CC, that's perfect with me.
That's the key word, comfort, right? Because when Yaoi is on a hero, honestly, like Grok, we didn't really see the same impact that he had when he's on something like the Cho, his power pick, right? He's able to make things very uneven when it comes down to those team fights, and it was just a wonderful display from the Orcas here, fighting back, really wanting that third place position. They're trying to save face here. You know what, LaFell, how do you feel about that game?
Thank you very much. Well, three funny Bambi Zugaloos. The MVP of this game is going over to Benny Cutie. I gotta say, why is Benny Cutie unstoppable? Like, they got the counters. How was Benny Cutie on this Harif was able to zoom around?
Yaoi, man. Yaoi and Samford are working well together.
It's a me, Yaoi?
It's a me, Yaoi, every single time, because D7 can only do so much, right? He is one man, and his ultimate has an extremely long cooldown. And unfortunately for him, he's purposely getting targeted in the majority of his fights. Like, who gets kicked here? D7, everybody else. And Benny QD, he's waiting far back until that King's Calling is down before he engages. Once again in this highlight, he takes his sweet time, waits for it, then, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Yes, Salmon Force.
Honestly, looking at this game, Yaoi showing a lot of violence. Eterna, do you like this kind of play?
Yeah, I really like the violence that he's really just protruding onto the game here. He looks comfortable on the Cho. That's why in the draft pick, I was like, this Grok is not for Yaoi for sure.
That's kind of like a backhanded compliment, you know? It's like, you know what? You're so not good on the Grok giving to Sanford because you are way better on the show.
No, Yaoi. It's not like that.
It's not like
does
that.
he watch the English broadcast? Because I don't mean it that way.
Here's the thing. Because it's you, I think he does.
That's a good point.
Stirring since day number one, huh, LaFell? Stirring since day number one. But this is also, technically speaking, a highlight of Yaoi. Whenever a team fight starts, I mean, we know for sure he found someone to pick off, and that is one of the best ways for the rest of the team to just crumble down. And like you guys said, the Zaman Force timing was impeccable. He made sure that he don't overextend, and he made sure that the team has successfully peeled for him before he drops it down.
Okay, we're looking at itemization here. Eterna, good catch that the early game, they did not pick up a Dominance Ice. Gideon, does that really affect the game?
Yeah, I think it does, because again, it just allowed, I mean, yes, you are depending on an ultimate to try and stop Benny QT, but at the end of the day, think about the people who actually benefit from healing a lot. And in these cases, this could also apply to the Fredrin, right? Not necessarily just the shields that we are seeing from people like Harith every single time he gets his spells off of cooldown and gets empowered auto attacks. The fact that Benny QT got this far ahead in this game is just a testament testament to how Echo is able to get resources out from the side of Burnix Flash while minimizing the damage with the help of Sanji.
Good point. Let's not forget, Sanji can also have some form of spell vamp for herself. As long as, in the early stages of the game, levels above, you got something out going for you.
I have a question, right? Because looking at Donut's build earlier, there was no magic defense, I don't think.
Yeah, I kind of feel like...
Was that too greedy?
I kind of feel like in those situations, because one of the things about MOBAs, if you're losing by a lot, you just got to try to kill your opponents faster.
Right.
I kind of feel like that's the idea, kind of a gambit there, and I kind of feel like it was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a gold laner, right? A gold laner is dedicated for just that raw power, and not to mention that he is taking Weapons Master, so it's like if you take a defensive item, it feels like you're wasting a slot for more stats. And I mean, the same can be said. Why didn't Benny QT respect the Beatrix eventually, right? Why didn't he start building a little bit more defensively on his own? Maybe he should